Welcome back to the Smith Leadership Consulting Group. Today, I am joined by my sister and colleague, Dr. Stephanie K. Murphy. Dr. Murphy is a retired Marine, having served in over 30 years, rising to the top as far as you can go by becoming a Sergeant Major. Now, Dr. Murphy, during her tour as a Sergeant Major, her career as a Marine, she has shattered many glass ceilings. Also joining us today is one of our mentors, Ronald Fetherson. Ronald Fetherson, in chapter 1 of the Book of Life, he's also served over 30 years as a United States Marine, rising to the top level of being a Sergeant Major in return. Now, in chapter 2 of the Book of Life, Sergeant Major Fetherson has also served in the executive levels of the federal government for 15 years. Having recently retired, he started chapter 3 in this Book of Life. And we found out in chapter 3, he is currently authoring a book. And we're excited, can't wait to get our hands on this book, because we know this will be new knowledge gained for us and all of you out there. Now, today, we're going to talk about the subject of compassion, because compassion is a trait that leaders must develop, and sometimes it takes others a little more time to develop compassion. But compassion, I got some of the brightest minds here that we're going to give you some insights and tips on leadership, developing compassion as a leader. Now, I'm reminded of compassion that was displayed upon me, from Sergeant Major Fetherson. He may not remember this because it was so many years ago. He was a Sergeant Major already at the time. And Sergeant Major, to be a Sergeant Major in the Marine Corps, it takes about 18 to 20 years. But of course, he done it well under that. But he was already a Sergeant Major at the time, and I was a young buck sergeant, E5. Had about 5 years in the Marine Corps, and I was assigned to the battalion, and he was a battalion Sergeant Major. I was a young drill instructor, first cycle green belt. And I'm in the squad bay, tearing up the squad bay, just doing things I probably shouldn't be doing as a green belt, because that's what I thought as a green belt, that's what I was supposed to do. Here comes the battalion Sergeant Major in the squad bay. Caught me in the act, I'm dead to the right. And I couldn't explain why I was doing what I was doing, because how dare would I say, well, ain't this what a green belt's supposed to do, kick and stress? Well, anyway, Sergeant Major stopped, went and got my first sergeant, came back, went up one side and came down the next side of my first sergeant. So in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, what's really going to happen to me? And so, he was like, he in some unpleasant words told me how I better get this squad base squared away. And I did just that. He took the first sergeant and went away. A few minutes later, he came back in and told me to stop. Hey, recruits, get back, let them fix this squad bay. Now, I just knew, I was done. First cycle, on the 2-year tour as a drill instructor, I knew I was done. But that wasn't the case. A few weeks went by, and I was on the PT field with the recruits. Just on this day, I was the only one. The drill instructors were elsewhere. I was the only one who had the recruits, 80, 90 man platoon. And we had a 3-mile run that day. And yes, the Sergeant Major was out of PT. And I learned that as a lesson too, that the more rank you have, you still have to be engaged. So we got done with daily 7 and was getting ready to go on the run. I'm calling cadence all the way to the halfway point. I didn't know Sergeant Major was in the back of my platoon. We got to the halfway point, he come running up, drill instructor, I got it. And he's saying cadence all the way back to the finish point. Now, I think I got into good graces that day. But a couple of weeks go by, my first sergeant said, hey, the Sergeant Major wants you to be in the staff. Now, if you was in 2nd Recruit Training Battalion, you was made a mock drill instructor. It means you have arrived if the Sergeant Major puts you in his staff, because only the best of the best was able to get in his staff. And then when I knew I had arrived, but the point I want to make here is the Sergeant Major, He didn't hold that over my head. He showed me compassion. And I've learned that on that very day that, compassion, you can still hold Marines accountable, but you must show them compassion. And vicariously, I lived that through him. Now, I told you that, he retired as a sergeant major. I also had the opportunity to rise to the rank of sergeant major and almost had 10 years time and grade. So I said all that so to tell you that mentor-mentee relationship, we still hold that today. And that is so important because we still lean to him for guidance. And I still seek wisdom from him. And that is so important. And so without further ado, I'm going to slide out the way and I'm going to let Sergeant Major Fetherson start this discussion on compassion. So without further ado, Sergeant Major Fetherson.
Thank you, sir. First, I'd like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come here and talk. Busy day, but you always have time to talk to people. So, having said that, listen to Smitty, I call him Smitty. Listen to him talk about passion. Passion is very, very deep. And I will start, if I had to give the definition, I'm going to be long-winded because I'm on the clock. And the clock is mine. My time, your dime. So to start with passion, let's go back to the young Marine. That's what it's all about. Now, I'm going to make my way up to the leader. As a young Marine, I use myself as an example because I was at one time a young Marine. What motivates a young Marine out of anything, when they see a senior person and they greet that senior person with the appropriate greeting. And right off the bat, when they greet that person either give you a hearty smile, or says nothing, or just barely move his lip. And as a young Marine, you figure out, this person is pretty good. He's not all that bad. Now, the reason why you pick up on those stuff, because being in boot camp, which is optional, the drill instructor never said anything to you. You're required to speak to your seniors, and the seniors don't even speak back. So when you get to the fleet or to your unit, you start speaking to senior people because that's the right thing to do. And when that senior person gives you the appropriate greeting, you pick right up on it. And what I would tell anybody, getting back to compassion, what I would tell anybody, people is what it's all about. Young Marines join the Marine Corps to be challenged. And some stay and some get out. And the more you stay in, you develop what we call compassion. Passion, you can't go online and get it. You can't buy it. You probably look to your seniors and see how they treat others. As a young Marine, and I call it being in the street talk, the more you show compassion to your juniors, that is talking to squad baby. The young Marines know who's got their back, who's going to take care of them in time of need. Passion is something that just through trial and error, through experiences, and through bad example, you develop that. If you had opportunity to look at my career, the only reason why I'm here today is because I was given a second chance. There were many times I was found doing something wrong or should have been taken down. However, the person in charge that made that call, they decided to give me another chance. Now, having given me another chance, I guess I could say they showed compassion. Showing compassion, leadership by your example. The longer I stayed around the Marine Corps, I immediately adopted compassion. Now, there will be some time you're going to have to maybe use something else. But keep in mind, passion in most cases, I use the term, with prejudice, without prejudice. With prejudice means you're taking it personal. Without prejudice, it's not on you. You're just doing the right thing. And believe it or not, the more you stick around people, the more you stick around the Marine Corps, you get a reputation. And the person that leads the most probably have people that will tell your story. And the bad thing about it, those young Marines will tell your story. You'll get opportunity to dictate how they present your story. Keep it in mind, the people that you lead uses exaggeration. Now, if you're a superstar, when they're done describing you, you are a superstar above the moon. Now, you're trash. When they get done with you, you are below the trash can. If you develop compassion through your actions and through your examples, people will love to be around you. They will love to work around you. And I had a conversation earlier. Passion, if it was left up to me, I would find out a way to put passion in one of those 14 leadership traits. But since I'm not in charge and nobody asked me. However, for a good leader, compassion will easily be in this toolbox. As a matter of fact, passion will probably be the most used tool in the toolbox. It becomes second nature. I personally believe passion is probably learned way before you came into the Marine Corps. I call it home training. You didn't really know what you had, but once you joined and put in charge of people, or let me reverse that, people was in charge of you, you get an opportunity to pick the good and the bad. Passion is a valuable tool. I professionally and personally believe, beware of the leader that don't use passion in his toolbox. Now, I can talk all day, but I probably won't talk all day on compassion. As a matter of fact, I just turn it over to my colleague.
All right, Sergeant Major. Well, you know what? I think it's two good elements to compassion. One being understanding, and the second one being caring. Because if you understand and you care about what somebody's talking about, that is the composite of compassion. I think that you can be a leader that don't want to hear it, don't want to deal with it. That's showing no compassion. But when you listen to someone, everything they have to say, and understand where they're coming from, it's easy. It's easy to have compassion for them. And if somebody's struggling with having compassion, it's because they don't care. But you got to understand, your parents, they punish you when you do something wrong because they love you. If they didn't care about you, then guess what? They let you do what you want to do and fall on your face. But parents don't do that to you. That's how you know that they care, because they spare the rod, spoil the child. Now, if they didn't do that and let you fly, go away, and just you would be homeless, have nothing, have no education. They didn't care if you went to school or anything. That's showing you no compassion at all. That means they don't care about you. But that's what it means. If you think about, like as you were saying, Sergeant Major, it's home training. I think it's home training. And it's something that's inside of you and you don't even understand. If you go in the book of Proverbs, all the wisdom that's talking Proverbs is for a reason. And it comes in some point in time that rings a bell to you. And if you stay strong, you didn't think about it on the Marine Corps terms. We always talk about God, court, and then country. God is first. And if you think about going in that book of Proverbs and read all the wisdom in there, you understand and you start to develop some compassion, whether you realize it or not. And I think Proverbs is a good starting point. But going back to what I was talking about with caring. In order to care about somebody, you need to get to know that person. And as you were saying earlier, Sergeant Major, when you meet that truth and that truth speaks to you and you speak back, it's okay to have a conversation with them. Because you're up on a high level, you believe, and they're on a lower level, it doesn't say you can't talk to them and understand where they're coming from. Because once you get to know your people, or get to know that person that you're talking to, it gives you a whole lot more to deal with. And then you can understand where they're coming from, and then you start to care about them as an individual. And then that's what brings that, their relationship together. That's where the relationship comes in. I just think that compassion is something, as you said, that should be a part of our traits. Because if leaders, if they care, if they understand, and they try to do the best for you and have compassion for you, they won't always be trying to go at you, and trying to make you something you're not. I think another way leaders fail in the area of compassion is they think about themselves. They think about how they got there. They think about the things that they've done. And they think that everything that they've done is the same way that somebody else has to do it in order for them to make it. A lot of times if you understand the background of a person or the things that a person has been through in their career, then guess what? If you understand them, understand what they're going through, then compassion will come into play. But if you just think they're supposed to be what you are, then there's going to be a problem. So I think that if you don't care about them, if you don't show interest in them, and if you don't try to understand where they're coming from, you're going to struggle as a leader anyway. Because guess what? A leader needs to know their people. And if you don't know your people, you're going to struggle. And I think that that's where caring comes in as well. Those are two great elements, I believe. Now, I don't have no big stories about care and compassion because it's something in my heart. And it's automatic for me. But so I would say throughout my entire career, because of where I came from, I always cared about people. And I don't know if it's the woman in me or not. You know, they said we got that gene or we got that thing about women that we care a little bit more. But men care as well. They just show it a different way. You know what I'm saying? So I think since I became in the Marine Corps, I said PFC, I've been caring about people. Caring about what they, you know, if they're hungry, if they're getting enough food, if they're feeling okay. You know, and that's all with communication with people. And that's what I think.
And that compassion, it is so important in compassion. And I'm reminded, you know, a couple of weekends ago, you know, I was, you know, had the pleasure of being in the company of Sergeant Major Fetherson and some other drill instructors that were at Paris Island at the time. And we had a conversation, we talked about compassion and leaders taking care of leaders. And something that Sergeant Major Fetherson said, which I wasn't surprised that he said it, but it stuck on me. Still to this day, I'm still gleaning, I'm still learning, and he's still imparting wisdom on us. We were talking about just taking care of people and also showing compassion. And in that conversation, you know, Sergeant Major Fetherson said, well, I don't remember taking care of that person. I don't remember doing that. But then again, you know, I never kept score. I never wrote things down on who I took care of. And that's the essence of leadership and compassion. And in compassion, it's not a sign of weakness. So don't mistake being compassionate leader as a weak leader, because that's humanity. And I will tell you that my sister here, or Dr. Murphy here, you know, I was in the hospital. Most of you all know I was in the hospital last year. This time I was coming out of the hospital. But she showed me compassion. She camped out at my bedside and probably seen me in my darkest hours. She camped out at my bedside, but even my doctors and family and friends that would come in and said, man, you Marines, there's something special about you Marines, that you through thick and thin, you know, you always extend compassion. But that we have a term for that in the Corps. We call that semper fidelis, always faithful. And as Sergeant Major Fetherson would say, semper fidelis is non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable. We live that till the end, till you take your last breath. And you know, Sergeant Major Fetherson, is there anything else you want to elaborate on compassion?
Well, I'll take the mic one last time. Listen to the doctor talk as well as you. I was thinking back to my career, and this is something that a junior leader could put in his toolbox. When I was the battalion sergeant major, because you told the story when I was down at Paris Island. To be a leader, you got to inspect what you expect. And so it was always one of my trademarks is to be in the squad bay, thereabout, when the recruits got up, just to see, ensure that the drill instructors are doing what they're supposed to do. I wasn't spying or nothing like that. But getting to passion, one of the things on PT runs, one of the best selling tools that you can trademark compassion with. Being out there running with the recruits, seeing what they're going through. To understand what they're going through, you gotta be out there. It's called boots on the ground. You can write a manual or order on what you're supposed to do when running. But if you never ran or you've never been out there, being out there watching the new drill instructor, watch how they interact with the recruits. Maybe some of your knowledge, you can probably pull the drill instructor aside when time permits and say, hey, you did this wrong, why not try this? Or watch me. That right there is passion, nonstop, every single day. And finally, I'm a firm believer. The way the Marine Corps is going, the way it always has done, you train your replacement. I should tell the drill instructor, people that was under me, whatever command I had, I made sure that I trained you. So when I'm gone, You had a good example and you know exactly what you're supposed to do. In the Marine Corps, it's hard, fast rules. In the battlefield, the senior man goes down, it's not a doubt in that next man that they're in charge. You ain't gotta tell them, you ain't gotta push them. Same thing for combat, same thing for garrison. Leadership by example, showing the people that you care, compassion.
Thank you. Dr. Murphy, any departing shots that you
Yeah.
will leave us with?
I will. I'll say it real short. When I was I did a speech when I was a sergeant major at OCS. I did a speech to a senior group of leaders, first sergeants and master sergeants. And in that speech, I only talked about one thing, and it was caring and having compassion for one another. And I would challenge all leaders out there, military, civilian, it doesn't matter. I would challenge all leaders out there. If you think you don't know how to lead, go in the book of Proverbs. It'll send you in the right direction.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. And we're going to close this out, and I want to say, hey, if you want to reach out to us, definitely, Dr. Murphy, Sergeant Major Fetherson, they love talking about the subjects of leadership. If you still want to reach out to me, go to the website, smithlcg.com. All our information is there, and we look forward to chatting with you again. Thank you.